year we did that. And people started coming to me and saying, "Hey, you know how to put on a race, I need help putting on a race." So I would get contacted. So I was like, okay, I better learn to actually know what I'm doing. So at that point, I was working full-time and had a couple of part-time jobs and then putting on these races. But I quickly realized that some of y'all probably nodded head that, you know, if you want to do something, you gotta be all in. So pretty much since 2015, I would say my full-time job has been putting on running events. I have my own events, and I also have clients that I curate their events. I've done it's as far reaching as just putting together like a group run for a small group of people to facilitating these kind of big races that come from that travel nationally and helping them to get their boots on the ground. Things like permitting and vendors in Atlanta, to coordinate with them. I had a chance to coordinate a couple of festival events that weren't running related. So I've been very, very, very grateful to be able to make a business out of passion, which is the ultimate goal, right? And you know, it's also been great that I've been able to actually be financially sustainable. I mean, definitely not making $1 million putting on running events and being a race director and an event director, but you know, pay the bill. I pull my weight in my family, so I'm very proud of that. So that's kind of a short introduction of who I am. We good to get started?
Yeah, I was gonna get it and stuff. So, I'm just saying, this is.
I'm gonna get this young lady her stuff, and I'm gonna let you know.
But, there's not really much, like, so first I just want to thank y'all for coming out, you know, as we get prepared for this weekend, so we got about 20 vendors registered between, Saturday and Sunday, so I want to definitely say thank y'all for coming out. You know, just doing these vending events, actually, Tess's event, the race was definitely, I think it was probably definitely one of the biggest first vending events that I ever did, you know, hundreds, maybe even a couple thousand people to come through. And, you know, there's just so many different people coming by, and there's just so many things that I've seen that if you've never really done a big vending event like that, it's probably just even small details that could just make the biggest difference in your vending experience. So I definitely wanted to have Tess come out. I actually didn't even know we were gonna get Tess. I actually reached out to somebody else that I know that works with the organization. And I ended up getting the boss myself. So, you know, I was excited about that. So without further ado, I'm not gonna, you know, take up too much time, but Tess Marshall. I didn't want to skip it.
All right, so what I titled this session is maximizing exhibitor and vendor experience. And you'll hear me use the term exhibitor and vendor interchangeably. I like the term exhibitor. The vendor, I don't know, when I think of vendor, I think like generators and hot sun and all kinds of stuff. When you're an exhibitor, like exhibitor sounds a little more fancy, right? I'm exhibiting at the expo, right? So I'll use the term interchangeably throughout the presentation. Just kind of going a little bit more detail, kind of qualifying myself to be able to talk to you today. As I mentioned, you know, I'm technically a race director and event director, a company, Runners LLC. We are able to curate expo events with a lot of our running events, as well as participating in expos to promote our events. And then I also have been to my share of expos and vendor events as a consumer. So I'll talk to you a little bit about from the putting on the event side of things to helping people get ready for those events, as well as just some of my personal anecdotes experiences with actual consumer preference behaviors. So just listing some of the events that we really do a more heightened like expo experience. The race, obviously, which is the little flyer that you got, that is our biggest event that we curate. It's a half marathon, a 5K weekend in Atlanta in October. And we host a 2-day expo for that event. And Jeff mentioned we have over 2,000 people that come through. So this is the expo is the event where they have to come and pick up their race packet. And we create a marketplace where people can shop for all types of things. And really, we have very few running related vendors, right? It's mostly, and we really hone in on small and Black-owned businesses at this expo. So it's a great experience to not only kind of expose your brand and build your brand, but these types of expos, I think are great for the businesses that I heard you all talk about, are gonna be great for those types of businesses. And we'll get into kind of like how to pick the right expo for yourself. Run Social Atlanta is my other race series, it's more Atlanta based, Atlanta's focused, and most of these events, Girls on the Run is one of our clients, Atlanta Mission is one of our clients. Those events typically have like a 1 day, kind of, it's the same day as the race expo experience or festival, whatever they decide to call it. And a lot of our events have, kind of those 1 day, pop-up type of expos. So, and of course, running events are usually early in the morning, so it's usually, you gotta set up in the dark and then, people come. But the race is unique in that we have a full day Friday and then a half a day Saturday expo experience. So after it's all said and done, you guys all have my contact information. If the race sounds like something that you want to get involved in, I'm happy to talk to you about that. And we'll definitely keep it, this presentation is gonna be more geared towards any type of expo or experience that you would want to engage in. So where I would like to start is before you even show up to the actual expo event, or vendor event. One thing I love is to apply for our vendors to apply early. So we open up our registration about 6 to 8 months out, and we love for our vendors to get involved as early as possible. And I'll tell you why that's important. So one, speaking from the event director and organizer side of things, you're booking out these venues, you are trying to get your layout together, how many spots I'm gonna have, how many vendors in a certain category I'm gonna have. So the earlier you get in, you're gonna get the prime time spot. So, for instance, if you were like a hair product, company, you wanna be one of the first hair products to sign up and be a vendor so that you're taking up, if they have a cap on slots, you wanna be able to get in that cap. And also, I'm the type, like, once I get the vendors and the partners involved, then I have something to talk to my, people I've talked to all throughout the year about. A great example, I mean, use Jackson's company as an example, a lot of people come to me and say, well, I need some ideas for things to do at my parties, and I've recommended, and I don't know if they come through, but I've recommended, your adverb game to a lot of people because it's top of mind. I know that this is a vendor that's gonna have a good product service. I know it's personable. I know you have a presence, like people can find your game, your event, and your product online. So being able to get in early obviously gives you a foot in the door early, but also gives those partners and the vendors and the event directors that you're working with a reason to talk about you all throughout the year. So as soon as you get that application and the application's open, get in and apply early. Also, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's unnerving to get an email 2 days before an event saying, you still got spots, you still got group spots. I mean, if you're a seasoned event, most likely it's probably not, you're not gonna be able to get in, a week in advance or 2 or 3 days out. If you have an event that's, really pushing, they're looking and you really need more and more vendors, you might be able to get in that way. But also, it just kind of looks a little less professional when you're trying to get in last minute somewhere. So one thing you can do is look up events and try to find events and get your calendar at the top of the year, get your calendar of events that you want to get involved in already set. Find out when they're opening their applications, find out what their fees are. Another advantage to applying early is obviously a lot of events will have a lower price if you get in early. So if you're, want to make sure that you get the best bang for your investment, apply as early as you can, get in there. A lot of times, and I speak for me, if the price of entry is a barrier, contact the event immediately and say, hey, I would love to be a part of your event. Is there a way I can do a payment plan? We publish our expo prices, but honestly, and I don't know if everybody's in this situation, we don't really need the money until closer to the event. So I'm always happy, especially a small business, to say, you can pay it by, September 1st, or your payment plan, whatever's the easiest. So as long as they got your commitment, that's usually a good deal, or you might have to pay a deposit to secure the spot. So there's lots of advantages to applying and getting engaged in the event early. And on the flip side of that, once you're going to that event, now you can start promoting to your audience, hey, I'll be at this event, this is my calendar that I'm gonna be at. A lot of, like food vendors and food trucks do that, they'll say, these are the best food you can find us at all throughout the year. And that's giving that event some promotion too, which that's a win-win for everybody. And then the next thing is to fine tune your national presence. So if you are, wanting to get out there and get customers, and national for you might be statewide, that might be, the Atlanta metro area, but as long as you're not looking just for customers on that particular day, you want to fine tune your national presence, and that means getting your website looking good. Are you able to accept orders before the event? Are you able to sell your product or service, or be contact or take referrals before the event? If you have social media accounts, which at this day, you gotta have social media account. You gotta have, I mean, at the very least, you wanna have an Instagram account. Facebook is still kind of hit or miss depending on your business. I don't have a TikTok account. I think TikTok is the next best thing, but at the very least, Instagram and a decent website. And a website where you can get basic information like where do I order, how do I get in touch with you? If you're a brick and mortar, where are you located? And I'll give you a great example of a bad example of that. Because this coffee company that I've been trying to get coffee at our events every year for the last, year 7. Last year we finally got coffee. But this one year, found this coffee company at another event, got their information, talked to the owner, shaking hands, drinking coffee. We're so excited to get you out. Went to their website and like nowhere on the website could you get in contact with them. There was no contact information. I take that back. There was the info at the coffee, but that led to nowhere. But you couldn't like just reach someone, and they did have a brick and mortar. So this was a coffee company that kind of distributed their product. And I just remember just being so frustrated I couldn't get in touch with the product. I couldn't even order the coffee online. So just make sure if your goal is to have an audience that's outside of your table, your booth, then make sure your national presence is fine-tuned, make sure your website looks good, people are able to get in contact with you. Even if you have an auto reply, make sure that auto reply leads to something somewhere. So that's very important. This is all before you even get to the expo experience. And then the next big thing is to build up your inventory and resources. So, and I'd love to hear if anybody's had a story on this. But nothing's worse than showing up at an expo and you get there, you run out of product halfway through the day, or you run out of flyers or the information that you want, or and another part of inventory is making sure you have a good staff and staffing at the booth. Ideally, what you want to have is at least 2 people. Yeah, one person that's talking to somebody, and then another person who can get the next person that wants to talk, or inquire or sell. You don't want to be the only person at your booth and you're going through a transaction or having a conversation about your service and everybody's just walking by because this person's super chatty. You're gonna get chatty folks, right? So 2 would be minimum, but 4 is definitely ideal. And it obviously depends on the space that you have. If you have a 6-foot table with like just 6-foot space, 2 might be the most you could fit in there. But if you can get 3 to 4 people, 2 people always kind of talking, chatting it up, somebody taking orders, help fill out forms, whatever you have going on at your booth, that would be ideal. Definitely making sure you know the full length of time of the expo, so you can have plenty of products, plenty of flyers, plenty of giveaways, whatever that may be, and then also giving your team shifts, because how many of you work the 8-hour expo by yourselves, standing up on your feet? Like even your own product becomes like, I just don't want to talk about this anymore. So, ideally you want to have, people who will come to shifts, make sure you got plenty of snacks and water for your people that's working for you. A lot of times it's our family and friends that are going to help out at the booth. And if you are hiring someone, make sure you're paying them a decent wage. So you don't want somebody standing up there selling your product or service and they mad because they only make $5 an hour. I was laughing, it's like, nobody makes $5 an hour. They might make $5 an hour. Yeah, man, No, I'm laughing too, because I was talking to a guy who's working bartending, he's saying he made $18 an hour, and it wasn't enough, and I was like, you know how much I made when I was in college? But anyway, so making sure you're, staffed properly, stocked up, plenty of giveaways, plenty of, flyers or information. It's better to have too much than to run out super early. Now, we definitely want you to sell out, so if you can if you're working an event or going to an event that you've done multiple times, you can kind of gauge, okay, I'm gonna need about this much. So when you get down to the very end, you're close to selling out or having everything done. You don't wanna take home a ton of product. But if you're the type of business that, typically this is with like food or any kind of your apparel company, if you have a certain style that you know is gonna sell really, really well, make sure you got plenty of inventory and you're ready to go. And then also, this is kind of going to the logistics conversation, knowing if the expo has backstock, areas for you, or if you're gonna need to stock things in your car, or you can go back and forth to your car, or if you're gonna have to stock things underneath your table or your booth space. So let me hold there before I go into logistics. Anyone have any questions or any anecdotal stories about just being ready for the event before you even get there? Right, I see a lot of people shaking their heads, so I think we're definitely getting on some good stuff. So logistics of the expo and event day, we pride ourselves in being, and Jesse, you can attest to this, you can, be very, very communicative with our vendors leading up to. You're gonna get, when you actually apply, you're gonna get the basic details of what the expo is. A lot of things are still being figured out, so we might not have the full run show ready when you apply, but basic things like where it's gonna be and what time it's gonna be should be immediately communicated to you. And then as you get closer, if you do have any kind of like payment plans or deadlines, things like that, you should be able to get that information and know. And before you even get to the event day 2, you should know or inquire about if you're gonna have access to power, if you're gonna have Wi-Fi available, if they're providing a table and chairs versus you have to bring your own table and chairs. A good event will have all that information up front for you, so you shouldn't have to ask. And we made that mistake our first couple of years. We didn't know if we have all this stuff, so we didn't communicate it. Now when you go in and apply, we tell you you're gonna get this, and this. Want anything additional from this, you need to communicate that with us ahead of time. The different venues are gonna have different layouts. So like I said, we're using this room. If you're along the wall, it looks like you got plenty of access to power. Yeah, you can get some power. So most of the vendors, if they're set up in a room like this, would have access to power. But if you're in a big convention hall, a lot of times they're not gonna have access to power in the middle of your of the hall, or they're gonna have to charge you to run power from different sources. Same thing with Wi-Fi. Smaller venue like this, they might give you a code and you can use their Wi-Fi, but most of the time, like I know for our venue at Impact Church, we don't get access to their church-wide Wi-Fi. So we tell our vendors in advance, listen, we're not gonna have a hotspot for everybody. So I think a couple of people requested a hotspot, we were able to give them access to our private hotspot. But most of the vendors end up bringing their own hotspots if they need it. So logistics, the load in, your time you're loading in, all that stuff should be extremely communicated, very clear. I'm hoping that you're not having to ask, for a follow-up email on where am I supposed to go, where am I supposed to be? And hopefully a point of contact, someone that you can call or email if you have any additional questions that were outside of the normal information. So I'll let you share one little tip too when it comes to power. If you find yourself needing power at events, and it's really just for like powering your laptop, or if you have some kind of kiosk or something, one tip is to invest in a car battery. And there's extensions that you can get to connect like ports to a car battery. And we use those when we're out in the field all the time racing events. So you guys have done like a 5K or something, you get your official times. And when we're out there with our time equipment, we use batteries to power everything. You don't need access to power. So just one little tip, and it's You can go to like a batteries plus to get the battery, go on Amazon, get the little connector, and it'll have like, plugs, USB ports, everything. So tool tip, you wanna just always have your own power and not have to worry about if you have access to power. It works. I don't know, it works on power speaker. It's a power speaker too. So a lot of times, like, if you just wanna have like music or something like that, you can have your own little power speakers. But nowadays, you can get like big boxes and stuff like that. So again, logistics, knowing the logistics going in, for the most part, you want to have zero questions when you walk up to the event. You should be able to be guided to the space that you're given for the event. So the next thing is, if you can get in advance, the vibe of the event. The two big questions to ask: will the event have a host or MC? Will the event have a DJ? Okay. Host and MC is going to be one of your best friends at the event. Find out if they're going to be announcing, give shout outs to each business, and if so, do they need you to provide a little talking point, bullet points? If you have specials going on at your booth, are they gonna talk about those? Or is the host gonna walk around and do like a little interview style with each vendor? Are they gonna bring you up to the stage? If there's a stage or center platform, are they going to have some kind of visual going on? Do you need to provide your logo so that you can have your logo pop up on screen? So all of the things to know in advance. Again, hopefully the event is communicating that to you in advance, but if they're not sharing those details, definitely a great question to ask. For the DJ, obviously, if you have a DJ, what type of music are they going to be playing? And an important thing to know is, if there is a DJ, how close is your booth gonna be to the DJ? If you're the booth right next to the DJ, it's gonna be a long day, because no one's gonna be able to hear you talking. Sometimes you'll have to set up where the DJ is kind of like up in a way so it doesn't affect everybody, or the surround sound is kind of overhead. But if you're in a venue where the DJ has speakers, you want to know if you're close to the DJ, and you need to request, hey, can you not put me right next to the DJ? And sometimes the event, if it's a small event, they just don't have a choice. Let's just put the DJ right where everything is. However, they should definitely be mindful of the layout, and maybe they put their welcome tent so that their people are the ones that are most affected by the DJs and not their paying vendors. But DJ definitely can be very helpful. One idea, I kind of thought of this, like if you have like a brand song or a signature song, I feel like you got a song. But find out if the DJ can play it, they can shout you out during that song. There you go. But definitely have an idea of what the vibe of the event is going to create. Are there going to be performances? Are there speakers happening throughout the event? So a lot of times, if there's speakers, then that kind of changes the dynamic in the room. Because the DJ is not playing, so maybe that's a good time for you to put your jam box or your speaker on so that your booth vibe is still going while there's something going on in the room. That's something that too. Like that's a great point. Like if there's a speaker or somebody addressing the crowd, that really changes the dynamic of the full expo event. So find out what that is, and hopefully you can get a run show if there is speakers and things like that going on in the expo. All right, any questions about that? Anything that you all have experienced in the expo that determined or creates the vibe? I'm gonna talk about. Let me talk about this now. I'm not sure if that comes up later, but another thing to know, logistics about the layout of the event is if you are in a certain category, are there going to be other vendors in your category? And if so, how is it going to be laid out? Is it going to be all the t-shirt people, all the insurance people, or are they going to kind of scatter them around? And from my perspective as someone that goes to an expo, it just depends. If it's a smaller expo, I kind of like groupings. But if it's a big expo, it's nice to kind of just be able to see different things as you're walking and going down lanes and things like that. From the perspective of the actual vendor, and as someone that's been involved in expos, usually when I'm doing an expo, I'm promoting an event, so there really isn't too much competition unless we're like an event that's on the exact same day. But if I would think that if I was like a skin care line, I wouldn't want to be in a row full of skin care line folks, you know?
Right.
But we'll get into how, you know, you distinguish yourself if that is the case, but that's a good thing to know about the event as you're going into it. How are you gonna be laid out? How many other vendors are in my category? And how are we gonna be laid out? Sometimes you'll get a map that will have the actual, locations and, each, vendor and the name. Some like for our expo, we don't send out the detail map because it could change and we don't want people to show up and be like, you know, we thought we were gonna be right there because things change at the last minute. But a lot of the big trade shows, they'll have that already kind of predetermined. So, and if you do find yourself in that situation, next thing you gotta think about is how are you going to make your booth pop? So let's go ahead and all touch and agree on 6-foot table with maybe a backdrop now, which is products and everything, standard kind of table. So we all done that one, right? We're all done it. So I'm gonna encourage us to think outside of the box and think outside of the 6-foot table from this point forward with your expo. Even if you don't have time or the resources or the funds to order all new, you can always change your layout. So I personally like the kind of welcoming, come into my space type of experience when I go to an expo. Again, it really depends on your business and what you're marketing. But I'll give you 2 examples. Obviously, products and services, you know, if you have maybe like a smaller table, or a shorter table, or if you have your 6-foot table long ways, having your main like featured products on that front part of the table, or if you have a little table on that little table, and then having the majority of your stuff as a kind of like a walk-in booth experience. If you're doing some kind of hanging rack or some kind of a vertical rack, you know, those people have to come into your space to check those things out. So you have your minimum 2 people, 1 person standing kind of on the front side, hey, look what we got, and then if you want to go in and do additional shopping or whatever, you can utilize that space. So I've seen that work really well for, there was one lady, so the last expo that I went to as a shopper was the Atlanta Black Expo. Anybody go to that or participate in that? It was really well done. It was at the Cobb Galleria. Has anyone ever been to the Cobb Galleria? So it was a huge, they have a huge conference. So it was really well done. So great, just kind of going off some of the things I talked about. They had, and again, I was going as a shopper, I didn't participate as a vendor. But they had different vendors in various categories, but they weren't all right next to each other, kind of spread out. They had kind of the lanes going. They did have music in a separate stage for speakers, but I don't recall there ever being like a downgraded vibe. It was always, you always hear music. Every booth had its own little thing going. So that's kind of what I'm referencing in the next couple of examples. So that situation that I described, I saw that with a sunglass company that worked well, and some skin care products that worked well. And these are all mostly 10 by 10 booths of products. If you have more space, you can get super creative. And then another one that I saw that I was actually pretty impressed with was a insurance agent. And she had a retractable banner with her life-size picture on the retractable banner. So the natural conversation that would come up every single time you walk by, what do you think everybody said? Is that you? I mean, I would want to, and I mean, that just opened the door for conversation. So I'm sure she had probably about 5 or 6 standard answers that she gave, but the one she gave me was, yeah, it looks like me done it. And then there we just started talking. And I remember she had the retractable, she was standing right next to it. And then she had another young lady that was kind of in the booth with flyers and information and sign-up sheets and all that stuff. And at the very minimum, she was able to hand somebody a card, even if I'm not in the market for insurance, I'm not, but I just want to comment on the fact that you look just like this picture that you're standing right next to. And she, I got her business card in my hand. Now, if I don't know how I ever use it, I don't know, but I will remember, always remember the fact that this lady who I saw at the Black Expo was an insurance agent, and for some reason I need some insurance. I might go find that card, I can keep the card, you have a question?
Oh, you answered it. I didn't hear that. I was gonna ask what business.
Yeah, insurance, I said insurance, right, yeah.
You did, but
So,
then.
but I think that could work for real estate, that could work for, cause there were all types of businesses, there were roofing experts, like, and a lot of it was, if you needed it, you would stop. But I felt like didn't need insurance, I stopped at that one booth just because of how it was set up. If she would have been standing behind the table with a bunch of cards and push, the little switch thing, I probably would not have smiled like, that's cute. But that life-size picture retractable banner, with her standing right now, now if she wasn't standing next to it, I wouldn't have stopped, so. So those are just two examples, and then what's an example of some innovative looking booths that look great, these backdrops are, I think pretty easy to get made up, and I have a couple of, companies that I'm gonna refer to you guys for, making things like this, but there's a lot of companies that make this kind of stuff, so it's really a matter of finding one that has a good pricing points and good customer service. But, this is a great setup here where you do like the kiosk style booth. Most, expos are gonna provide you with a 6-foot table, you can use that 6-foot table, but we've had some events where we take the 6-foot table and put it away, because we don't want the clutter. So if you literally only have your 6-foot space, this is a great setup, if you're doing kind of like talking to people, and you don't have a lot of products, now if you're selling products, then obviously you need your tables to be able to display your product. And then your backdrop should look good, have, you know, innovative, looking logos and graphics on it. We're my graphic designer, so you want something that looks poppy and it's gonna draw people in. This is an example of kind of using a retractable banner to create your backdrop or side drop, how you wanna do it. I thought that one was pretty cool, it's kind of like a presentation stand, so if you have some kind of technology set up that you wanna, display. But obviously, these are kind of open form. If you have more space, like 10 by 20, or like a corner booth where you get to kind of go out into the lanes a little bit, then you can, you know, utilize things like clothing racks and, again, stands and things like that. And definitely, the key point is to make your booth pop with the color, great graphic design. And we actually have one of these kiosks. And I love it because our logo is right on the front of it, because a lot of times if you get the 6-foot table, you can get the tablecloth that's branded, but a lot of times people just use just black tablecloth and try to have something standing out, but it really does look sleek to have kind of like a taller waist level with your logo right on the front. But again, that 6-foot table does come in handy, I know, for a lot of booths. All right, so any questions on that? Making your booth pop, yeah.
The first expo I did here, that was my very first expo. And I know I did over above that, because I just didn't know. And I bought a tent. An actual tent, and made a little replica of my clinic. And my husband was mad at me. Everybody in my family was mad at me because they were like, "What are you doing?" But I know that was extreme, but I think.
Sound great to me, go ahead.
But no, you were gracious, because when I came with the tent, it was like.
Was it indoor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I just indoor tent too, I mean,
Yeah.
space for it, why not? Go
It's
ahead.
a 20 by 40. It was a big tent. That was too much. But you did.
Because I felt like I was in your clinic.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that sounds like exactly what I described.
Well, I think, so, yeah, especially for your business, your specific business. Now,
Now, did they provide you that space, or did you take that space? That's two different things.
I kind of just showed up.
Just showed
So
up.
he was just gracious and like, okay, we get the corner over there.
Yeah.
So, but it worked out because I really had no reference point. But hearing you say that, it makes me feel a little bit better about it. So, okay,
Yeah.
I won't
mean,
be
the
that
only thing I would say
extreme.
about that is if you're going to somewhere like not yours, a church family,
Mhm.
you make sure that that
It's okay.
space is what you're allotted, because you might show up and be like, sorry, you got 10 by 10. You got this big old tent. But no, that sounds like a great, like, welcoming. Now, a lot of what I'm talking about is referencing indoor, but I've done tents indoors, which is great. But you do want to be mindful of If you're outdoors, that's gonna change a lot of things, and we can get into a whole other conversation about wind and making sure you remember the wind situation 2 years ago. Making sure everything ain't gonna blow around, indoors, all those things that I just showed you work very well. So let's get into the real crux of, and they stop, okay, so we have got to the expo, we've got great communication from the event director, we know what we're showing, we can set up our booth, it looks good. Now, when they stop, people take their time to stop, people take their time to shop, people take their time to converse with you. What are we talking about? What are we doing? What are we offering? So, this section right here could be its own seminar. I'm just gonna touch on just a few little things. I put a few examples from our expo. So some exhibitors that I think do a great job of not only engaging, but displaying and then making people actually stop. So on the far left, that's Angie O'Neill. She's a jewelry designer, and she does maybe like 3 events a year. This is one of her events, and I joke with her. She's a full-time job, and she runs lottery, but your raise money expo. She basically makes all the raise money at our expo. But she always comes with her beautiful display. She's got her main products right there on the table. She does, I know it looks like I think she's posing for the picture, but she usually stands outside of her booth and like talks to people and, you know, ask people kind of like, what's your color scheme? Now, obviously, people are going to be drawn in by her designs. So her designs really are the thing that makes her booth pop. You know, if she was more full-time, like doing multiple exhibits, I would encourage her to get a nice little backdrop with her logo. She has a very beautiful logo. She's got a bunch of great modeling photos of people wearing her jewelry, which could make things pop a little bit even more. But the way that she has the jewelry displayed, mostly the designs that sell the best, or she makes some custom designs specifically for our event, because red, black, and green, that's our colors. So she'll create some designs that have those colors. And then she's constantly she's got a little bit of an edge because she's a runner in the running community. So a lot of the folks that are coming to this event, she knows them. So she probably needs to have 2 or 3 people working. She's probably talking to people more than she's selling. I think her daughters come out and help her with the selling part for the big part of the day. But just a great example of just using your product to display. The middle picture, Big Pete's Running Company is one of our partners, and they always come with a great shoe deal. So another thing, what are we talking about? Why should I buy a product today? You know, especially if you have multiple people in that category. Are you offering some kind of compelling sale? Do you have something that is, I can't get right 2 booths down? And if so, make sure that's your piece of product. You know, do you have a story? Can you tell your story about your business in 1 sentence to make people wanna? So, you know, for instance, when we're at expos promoting the race, our big kind of thing is you're gonna get the experience of Black excellence. You run the race, it's all about Black excellence. I'll say that to a white runner. I'll say that to an Asian runner. When it comes to the race, you're gonna get the experience of Black excellence. Boom. And that, you know, that resonates with Black runners. That's easy. But, you know, trying to get and encourage someone to come and run our race. That's what's gonna be different from doing the Beach Through Road race, doing the, you know, Cooper Bridge in Charleston. So having something that's gonna set you apart, whether it be a price point, a story, an experience that they're gonna get that's different from any other experience. And a lot of times when you're at these expos, you're targeting people, so you're talking to people from all different parts of the city. If you're at a national expo, all different parts of the country. So what makes someone want to shop with you, work with you, whatever it may be, if they live in a different city or state or region of Atlanta? So having that story. And then I put Jesse up here because Sean, I think you're doing like a demo of what the game is like, so being interactive. So obviously people are gonna see something like Ackberg, you see that nice backdrop. And the first question they're gonna be, what's this? So what's your quick pitch? I can walk up and say, what's Ackberg, what's this?
That's what they like to play games. What if they're a gamer?
So you ask them a question back?
Yeah, they're a gamer, or they play like Taboo Charade, like say it's like Taboo Charade, like they This works out pretty well, you know, especially for the people that look at it.
Yeah,
And because people are always looking for something different in the same round that they can do. So
Yeah.
like if they're a game and they play heavily, they race, they're looking for something.
so do you play games? I like that. So you give them a question right away, and I mean, in the rare instance, I'm like, no, if they don't have my game, you should come back.
I gotta work on my addiction skills.
Oh, you boring.
I'll be honest, I still, and this actually has worked out, I'm not gonna say it always works out, but it has worked out before, where somebody will say no, but maybe my family does. And, you know, so they'll talk about having like their family get together and play during, Thanksgiving or holidays, and I'll just kind of play off of that, like, you know, it's a good time for people to come around and bond over holidays and play games, so it usually kind of works, it usually works out, just, I say you just go into your field anyway.
Yeah.
The worst thing they gonna do, if they say no, they're probably gonna buy it anyway. They're
Yeah.
not supposed to give them information, so.
Yeah. Well, one thing you can say is you just have to play the right hand. Yeah, let me say my number. There you go. That's pretty cool.
Uh,
Does anybody else have a, like, something creative like that? As soon as somebody comes to your booth, or they're just kind of walking by like this? Like a line that has worked well? What do you got?
I was trying to think of what would I say, if it's a snow day. And the people are barely trickling in, and if they walking by, you know, like you just said, walking and trickling. And I'd be like, no, don't you walk by me, come over. And this is $5, don't you pass up this $5.
Oh, see, I like that. Yep.
And the 9 out of 10,
That's why 5 and below, baby. They got big old signs that 5 and below. You walk in, I know about this, like.
I like to have products of kids like things that are colorful. There's normally girl walk up and say, "Daddy, if I just wanted to know what it was, she was like the color and the carpet."
You buy it? Oh, there you go. So I'm just trying to think, so do you have any, this is off the top of that idea, any, images or pictures of kids reading your books, or parents sitting and reading with the kids, or helping them, or watching? Yeah, I think that would be powerful. If you're seeing that on maybe your backdrop has these like photos, so the same thing, the kids walk around, look, daddy, reading daddy.
So I ordered a banner from FedEx Kinko's and I've been using it for more than 10 years.
Yeah,
This backdrop, where do we order those?
all right, I'll give you a couple of resources, yep, and I'll tell you the types of materials that you need to get these days too, so. So we'll get to that towards the end. So what are you talking about when the people stop, when they pause, when they stop, when they're slowly walking by? And the other thing is too, if like Jesse just said, you can't really get any feelings if they're not interested in the product. 9 times out of 10, like I said, we have about 2,000 people that come through our expo, and we're only gonna see about a fourth of those people, because everybody's moving around. So, you know, the people that do choose to stop and do, give you a little bit of their time, like that's already a win, they stop. And so figure out what is your goal, you want them to walk away, what's your minimum goal, walking away with your flyer? Or, having a good conversation with you, maybe remembering you. A few years ago, I bought these bubble earrings, with, you know, the little party bubbles you get. The lady put some hooks on it and sold it as earring. I paid $10 for these bubble earrings. Cause I wanted to wear them for my daughter's, you know, events or whatever. And I don't remember the name of her business. Yeah, I don't remember the name of her business, but I see her all the time, and I remember her, she's the bubble earring lady, like I can literally see her nowhere near earrings and remember her as the bubble earring lady. Now, I don't know if she has an online presence, but if I ever did wanna order, I would bubble earrings, but let's just use an example, if I ever wanted to order a bunch of bubble earrings, I would make every effort, try to find her and purchase from her, because I remember her, okay?
It says the mad lady is really supposed to be on my back, but for an event like this, I'll flip it around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Make sure they know who you are. So yeah, same thing with me. I will get approached all the time. People be like, great, whatever, you know, man, they don't know my name, but they know my event from, you know, seeing me at different events. And obviously, you know, I'm the one that's involved in doing it. So that's something that you really want to do, is be honing in on, find your niche. and go with it. And another thing I'll say is don't try to be everything at every event, you know, find out what works well. So again, with like the t-shirt line, you know, you're gonna have some events where one t-shirt's gonna be hot item, and you go to the next event, nobody buy that one, everybody wants this, and so, you know, you kind of have to gauge it, and figure out what's gonna work best.
Real quick, is there anything or are there any particular components of like a quick sales pitch or elevator pitch, like a few or something? There's like, hey, make sure you, like you said, even kind of make the history or, I don't know, it's like, is there like maybe 2 or 3 things that you at least want to hit?
Yeah.
In the sales?
Well, first thing I'll say is it just needs to be short and sweet, like, nobody has wanted to sit and listen to a long story, like, this lady was selling a book, and I only bought the book, because she was just a sweet old lady. But I had to listen to her entire history before we got to watch the girl's book. Still got the sale, but I don't know if I'm the best audience for that. So, and I haven't read the book, so I don't know what that means. So, I just have the book. So short and sweet would be the tip number 1. You know, keywords that you know are gonna resonate with people, like $5. I hear $5. There's nothing in the world that $5 doesn't sound expensive for anything. So, you know, having like a keyword in there. And again, don't be disappointed. Don't try to keep reeling people in. If they're walking by, they keep walking, so keep walking. Don't waste your time trying to keep reeling them in. Or if they stop and, you know, I'm notorious for, okay, can I just get a card? That's all I want is your card. And be okay with that. Like, don't feel like you gotta have like a full blown interaction with every single person. If you bring 1,000 business cards and you get rid of 1,000 business cards, that is a huge win. That's 1,000 people that have your something in their hand. Question here?
Well, just a comment, for me, because I've only done one expo, I was here.
Mhm.
And I'm listening and I'm trying to incorporate what I do as far as an expo. The only thing that came to my mind is with the backdrop. But I can't see being at an expo doing what I do to promote. But when you said how to bring people in, when I introduce myself and, you know, some people don't even know what an interior designer is. So what's a catcher for me is when I say I offer free 30 minutes to an hour free consultation.
So let me tell you, at that Atlanta Expo, there was an interior designer there. She had 2 or 3. You do design, or do you make furniture at all?
No. Well, now
But you have certain furniture that you really love.
and I shared that when we had the expo here, this was many, many years
Yeah.
ago.
So you had some of those pieces. So definitely have the pieces that you like. And then this woman also had a flip book of some of her best
Well, I
work.
had that.
Okay,
I had
good.
that here, yeah, like before and after.
But I think the biggest thing is just a welcoming environment. I mean, if it's interior design, hopefully you're no longer doing the table, 6-foot table, stand by table, talking about. Like you want to create something where they're gonna come, look at this, like that. You're sitting in one of my favorite chairs that I love to put in my
Yeah.
design.
I like the
and
backdrop.
Take a look at the books, maybe what's it called,
Like,
carousel, video on a small screen that's, it's constantly going.
You probably even set up like a,
Set up a.
I mean, if you have a little small space, probably even just set up a design booth or something like that, like, you know, kind of do like a mock, whether it be a living room or whatever it may be, you know, something real small, just even set up kind of what a design could look like.
So that's what I did.
Yeah, doing demos and, depending on the expo, a lot of times, you could request that the expo give you, so let's say like at the top of every hour, you're gonna do a sample design. And people can kind of gather around your booth and watch you do it for 10 minutes, and then the rest of that hour, you know, expoing. And you can let the host or announcer know, hey, you know, what's your name of your company again?
Dinah's Creations Unlimited.
Guidance Creation Unlimited doing a 10-minute design session at 6 o'clock. Make sure you gather around. Maybe even bring a few folding chairs or snacks or something. And let
I
people.
like that.
So like definitely get creative with that. And the lady that I saw at the Man Black, so she had some pieces that she had upholstered, I guess. No, she didn't get upholstered. I asked her about upholstery, but it was pieces that she had used for her design. She definitely had like a little flip book. I asked her if she knew of an upholster, but she had some really beautiful prints on she had like an ottoman like a chair, couple chairs.
Yeah, cause I've shared the before and the after, but I did have the before and then some of my designs in the.
And anything people can touch and feel, like fabrics, you know, different fabrics that you like to work with, bring some of those as samples. That's definitely. Definitely, you can do a lot of really cool stuff like that. Have one of the machines, purifier machines going. Yes, yes.
Yes, I use the word objection. And when I read the announcement for this evening, I was expecting sales technique. Do you have any suggestions on how to handle objection?
How to handle objection. I can see going back to, don't get your feelings about it, because not every customer is for you, you know, if you feel like, this is how, if you feel like you have to pitch or sell or convince people, then that's not the right customer. So using my business as an example, I'm selling events and experiences. I ultimately go for somebody to sign up for my event. But I'm not gonna try to convince you that you like to run. I'm not gonna try to convince you that running in Atlanta and all these hills and all, like, all this stuff. So I'm basically telling you what I do and telling you the benefits. So in your case, you know, what are the benefits of working with me as your math coach or math tutor or using my resources? And if that's not resonating with you on like my basic bullet points, then be okay with that person not wanting to purchase.
And even, and I'll even say this, like, even when objection, like, so for even you, like, that's not lady. You know, somebody, you know, says that, you know, they don't have any kids, or I don't know, just whatever the case may be. Then you can always just kind of have like a few set responses, like, okay, well, do you know anybody? You know, or, do you know anybody that might need these services? Or, you know, you can even back it up with statistics, you know, just like, hey, you know, so many kids don't. Or actually, I'd say it's probably a positive statistic, like, you know, so many kids pass when they do have a tool.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the case may be. So that's probably also something that you could kind of just use, like, when it comes to an objection. Now, like I said, the people are just like not interested. Just my personality, I'm not about to beg to, you know, like, you know, I mean, especially like.
Yeah, I don't like wasting time with people that aren't.
Yeah.
There's all these other people roaming around, waiting or looking or, you know, so, yeah, what, give us one example of an objection that you frequently hear.
Oh, I don't have any money to pay for tutoring.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So.
So I mean,
I've done-
that could be a
I
factual
think
thing.
that about, about 17 years ago, I said, well, I have this book,
Mhm.
you can tutor your own.
There you go.
Well, I don't know, and I need somebody face to face, I can't just read a book with it. At that point,
Okay,
I
look.
really can't.
Well, please take my card, and if you feel like these resources would be helpful to you, you can contact me anytime.
I mean,
Next person.
and even like, I mean, even like what Tess said earlier, I'm not sure if that's something that you do, but I mean, you can offer payment plans, you can offer, I mean, cause my thing is, if somebody wants something bad enough, they'll find it.
I have a 3-year-old right now, but I feel like I would go to the end of the earth, make sure she has the best option. A lot of times, honestly, people are giving you those types of excuses for everything you say, they're just not gonna do it. Yeah, and that's fine.
Their priorities are elsewhere.
Yep.
I was thinking about this, I have, some very satisfied clients. To get them to stand with me at my table, so while I'm doing this, they can be spotting wonderful things about me. And the second thing I was thinking is, today only $5 off the products. Otherwise, you have to go to the website and it would be full price, and you get my autograph today.
Yeah. No, definitely any kind of, financial incentive.
Like $200, no one wants to, so make sure I have 10.
Another thing too, I don't know if you meant adults, but aside from having some children. So do you, is most of your clients children, or do you work with adults?
Both.
Yeah, but I mean, you have some children, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if a child is standing behind your booth, that's gonna draw a
Yeah.
little bit different than an adult, you know?
And even if they doing like activities back there,
You should
like,
pay them well, I said. A financial literate child back there.
You told me to pay with snacks.
There we go.
That's what.
that's what I'm like, I thought.
I got it.
Look, Williams said no.
For what?
For applesauce pouch. So, yeah.
Okay, I think that,
Applesauce pouch.
pouch, write that down.
Yeah, but again, I mean, the ultimate sales tactic is not to be too salesy. Cause you can come off desperate, And, you know, really honestly, you have to reflect back on your own business if you are constantly hitting the wall with pricing or product quality of product, things like that. It's like Jessica said, if somebody's gonna buy it, they're gonna buy it. If they want it bad enough, they're gonna buy it. You know, a lot of times like with these skincare and the body butters and scrubs and all that stuff. Once you try one, if it's a good product, you can go back and find it again. If it's not very good, or if it's just mediocre, or I could just bought from a vino and been just fine, then you're just not gonna get return business. So if you're in this for the longevity, figure out ways to get that return business. So I love the idea of having the satisfied customers kind of standing there with you or giving demos or something like that. Or if you do some kind of video testimony that can be played on a reel or something like that. And I love that good statistics here. All right, so, the final thing, second to last thing is the follow-up. You know, have your follow-up opportunities ready to go, like on Facebook, their Facebook page. Make it easy for people to be able to follow you, subscribe. I'm personally not a big fan of the sign up for my mailing list if you want to get something. That's just not me personally. But if it works, I mean, if that's what has worked well for people, but in my experience, if people want to find you, I don't feel like I have to force them to follow me. If they're gonna follow me on Instagram or follow me on Facebook or sign up for my mailing list, they'll do it. You know, I don't have to bribe them to do it. So I'm talking about things like, you know, if you want the 20% off, you gotta sign up for my mailing list. Cause 9 times out of 10, I'll sign up for something to get the discount. But as soon as I get the discount, I'm gonna go and unsubscribe, especially if you spam the crap out of me before I sign up, which is the way a lot of these online places do it. If you are doing those, types of incentives where you sign up for the mailing list or, I mean, obviously like it on Facebook or like it on Instagram, that's easy, like, okay, I like you, great, thank you, and here's your discount, that's super easy. I would recommend that over making someone fill out like an online form or having to subscribe to the mailing list. But if you are gonna do that, just ensure that, you know, ensure people, hey, you know, I send out 1 email a month, or I send out one only emails when I'm giving out a discount, so they're not worried about getting spammed. Because a lot of places are just getting a little ridiculous with the spamming after you sign up for their mail list. But more importantly, have those things set up. Make sure if you tell people to follow you on Facebook or Instagram, or if you have a YouTube channel, that you actually have content that's like current on there. Don't have people going to your Instagram page and you last thing you posted was Christmas 2020, okay? And again, my recommendation would be at very minimum, Instagram and then a website that's current with basic information.
And I think it'd be good, I just wanted to say this, I think it'd be good for people to follow on Instagram, make it as easy as possible.
Yes.
So you probably just wanna have like a QR code or something that they can scan, that's it, and then I would even have a phone in front of them, I would hit follow for them, like, once they scan it, I'd hit follow on their screen myself, so. You know, that's probably one of the best things.
QR codes are awesome,
And you can make them for free, you know.
Make them for free.
Make them for free on the internet, they gonna look crazy with a little dinosaur in the middle, but it's effective.
yeah, if you're managing your own website, most of the website, like I use Wix, you can create QR codes right off the Wix chain. Sure, if Wix does it, not everybody does it. And if you need help with that kind of stuff, you know, those of us who are savvy with that. So resources we love, I just listed these 2 resources as examples, but Instant Promotions is the company that I use for all of my signage and backdrop, like infrastructure type backdrop. They've done huge banners for us. I have tended to like the fabric backdrops. Now, Jeff, you still using that vinyl one? Yeah, so I encourage you to get that fabric backdrop. They're a lot less lightweight. They can fold up instead of having to roll, you know, you have to roll it and keep it in that long thing. Or mesh works really well too. Mesh works well if you're gonna be doing mostly indoor expos. If you're doing outdoor expos, the mesh can be a little challenging, you can see through it. And so if you're like back to back with someone, you're gonna see through it. But fabric, and then tension fabric backdrops with either an accordion style opening. and you attach it on, or you get this like folding system and you put the fabric over it. Those are my favorites, these days for, backdrop. And then, retractable banners are still great. You can get retractable banners, small, tabletop, life size. You can get different widths now, but again, just make sure you're gonna be outdoors, retractable banners can become a pain in the butt, because they get blown around and they never stay on their frames. Tents, Instant Motion also does custom tents, they do custom table cloths, you can get the nice, like tight fitting tablecloths all the way over to like the fold over. You can get the runners, so that's a great company, they're based out of North Carolina. But they ship all over the country, they do good work. And I'm using them as an example, if you find a company that's local, that does that type of work, here's what I would recommend, same thing with Prima Atlanta, I use Prima Atlanta for all of my flyers, and print, like, get 4-class signs or anything like that made up. The big thing you wanna find out, if you're working with a printer, are they printing locally? Cause if they're taking your order and then going to another company and printing it and then just upcharging you, might as well go directly to the source. So that's what I like about Instant Promotions and Prima, they do everything in-house, I'm buying it from them, I'm not buying it from a company that's representing, what are they called,
Third party.
yeah, they're like third party of contract.
Yeah, and
Same thing with t-shirts, I know you know this, the t-shirts, go to the source, get your shirt, don't order from this place, it's gonna upcharge you $1, and then they got upcharged $1. Go straight to the source.
And one more place that I will just throw on this list, and I'm just saying this because they are local, it's where I've got my stuff, is hotlandasigns.com.
Okay,
They're-
I live in Atlanta, so
Yeah.
definitely take this advice.
Yeah, hotlandasigns.com, they're based here in Atlanta, that's actually where I got my binders from, but they also have like, retractable ones, and everything, so
And
that's
they
also.
make local, they
They
print
print,
in-house.
they print everything in local, they just moved it.
They make designers too, that's the big thing.
They run off of Howellville, then it just moved like around the corner, they're still like in that downtown area, so. And you can pick up, if you order it today, it's usually rather than like 2-3 days.
And you can
Turn
actually
around.
find good online deals too, like, I got some retractable banners from like signsdirect.com. So you can shop around, the thing I like about working with companies you have an account with, they're gonna keep your artwork on file, they can do design for you a lot of times too. Remember, what was it, Vistaprint, that's what everybody used to use back in the day. But like you're actually talking to a person, a lot of times if you get over there, on the list, you can, when they have special, but Freeman's always running some kind of special. So that can be a little bit of a drive to get, you have a preferred vendor for like flyers and stuff like that too?
Well, I have a cousin that does my artwork, and then, for flyers, I can let everybody know.
Yes.
I can send it out in an email, I'm pretty sure there are some that, we can definitely get some, for y'all.
Yeah, and I don't know why, this slide isn't in there, but one of my other slides should have been networking. When you're at these events, network, talk to other vendors, do at least one round, throughout the event. Sorry. Do at least one round, throughout the event where you're meeting everybody, seeing, scoping out the competition at the same time. I'm good for you to take pictures about.
Oh, yeah.
I talked for like 2 more minutes. I just thought about it, networking, because, do a little bit of both, yeah. Definitely networking, and that's how you can find out, like, where did you get that background made? Where did you get, people come up to me all the time asking where we got our displays made for the race. And then also, ask the question, like, what's been working well for you, like, somebody in your same category? And I mean, yeah, if they're a confident business, nobody should be, it's not like trade secrets, like where some of your, back sales. All right, so yeah, I literally could go on each slide, 30 minutes each, but I wanted to give you kind of like just food for thought on everything. Does anyone have any questions? Do you feel ready to exhibit?
Mentioning FedEx Kinko, wait, did my banner a couple of years ago. The only thing I had a problem with, yesterday I was checking to see if I can reorder some business cards I designed on their website. at the end of 2022. And they say, oh, well, we just changed our website and we got rid of all our templates that are great. Imagine see a small company,
Yeah,
but a big company like FedEx should have been able to maintain.
see, I think it's just the opposite. Smaller companies are probably gonna be called somebody, girl, why did they
I
change
did
that?
that too. My neighbor ordered some really nice
Yeah.
pens for me several years ago. I called a small company, they had renamed. And they had me on the phone talking to this person, they really tried to find the template that my nephew used to order these for me. And we'll get back to the company's name had changed.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's an outlier. But again, you
And
know,
one day it's two disappointments for the cards and the pens. I
so
had to start
are we
all
still in need of a provider? Cause
over. I
like I said,
start all over.
that's what I just mentioned about, when you're at the next thing you're at, you know, talk to people and see, you know, 'cause you might find like a lot of people in Atlanta use Prima. I have some other, like, if you wanna work with Black owned businesses, if you wanna work with small business, you wanna work with somebody that's really around the corner where you can pick up your spots that I have different vendors for everything. People always like, well, who do you get this t-shirt? I use different people for all different aspects, and it's a lot of it is based on the relationships that I've built with them over the years. So I'm hoping that's an outlier.
Business cards and pens, if you wanna give a recommendation for those two.
Honestly,
I'm not gonna lie, I like this.
I use discount mugs where I get a lot of my things.
Discount.
Discount mugs, MUGS, they started off selling mugs and turns out they sell pretty much anything that you want with your logo on.
I think using a business print for long, just change.
Yeah.
Design, all I have to do is just go in, sign in, and hit record. I never have to do anything different.
I can send you, Melissa.
Then they changed their protocol, I redo, I said, well, forget it, I'd rather go with someone else.
I can find people like,
Right
and
now.
especially depending on how fancy you want, like.
Yeah, all types of.
I can do
Real flyers.
yeah, like, I mean, and like, if you just need a functional website, you go, what kind of. You get interior design, so you don't need. to
Feel
like
like
Shopify.
it's not getting more away of print budgets now, so having like the cars and the are
On,
Nine.
depends on business, what you want.
Program.
To me, like, I have business cards,
Looking into.
I rarely
Yeah, no, I can
buy marketing.
How about I say, even my, I did my website myself on.
But I still have them.
So if I just even help you
I personally
through
like
that.
to get business cards. I take those back home and I install them in my little spreadsheets. So if we don't have them, I think
Yes.
it's gone are the days where you like go to an event and it's like, but it's still good to have them. But like the flyers for events or you have like one pager for your product, service, whatever it be, like having something like this, I think it's cool.
Cause I've gotten, somebody took me up with the blink card, and I like that now. I really do, because all of my social media, everything is on that electronic thing, just you're in their phone. So that's.
She just mentioned the contact, with the card list contacts. Blink is one, there's a couple other venues out there that do that.
And it was
Those
free.
are all great apps. But again, a QR code, you can make a QR code point to anything you want to point to nowadays.
Yeah.
So I like QR codes to go to my website or a QR code to shoot right to Instagram. Like
As a
that.
matter of fact, I don't know, so I can show you, I can show y'all real quickly how to do a QR code.
Sure.
If y'all wanna,
You wanna, unplug?
yeah, I'm about to say, yes, it's my connected to. Strong.
And then, this last thing I'll say, and then we're gonna do a raffle. I brought a few items that I have gotten at Expo that people's booths to raffle off. And a couple of things that we have created, including this bag. which would be
Oh, I didn't know that.
So like, you have my business card, if any of you think of any questions or you want more clarity or more detail on anything that I covered. Do not hesitate to email me, just make sure you put it in the subject line, you know, what's the name of your church? University's business, seminar, so I know exactly what we're talking about, you want to remind me of your name and your, business, so I can respond properly. I'm happy. And thank you so much, Deb, for the opportunity. I'm always in the trenches,
Yeah.
doing these things, and it's very, it's an honor to be able to help people. You know, you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I've been doing this for a long time, so I can help some other people. So I'm always happy to help new businesses with it. Once upon a time, I was a brand new business, I didn't know what I was doing. Someone asked me, Tess, what was your business? I never started with a business plan at all. I just started doing stuff. I don't recommend doing it that way, but you know, it's always helpful to have people who can guide you too.
Oh, I know I had one question. Now, you mentioned about the, getting 6 months ahead of doing the applications for expos and
As
different.
soon as it opens, yes.
But the average cost of entrance cost, what would you say for those big ones?
I mean, I don't know what average is, it really just depends on their customer, how many people, so we charge 300 for our small business booth fee, and we have sponsorship levels that are higher than that, if you wanna make more of an investment in the event. But like, I wanna say the Atlanta Business Expo, Black Business Expo, their booth fee was somewhere in that $300 to $500 range. So, I mean, you really just have to determine like what's the best investment for your business. If you're selling insurance, you know, you can cover that cost with 1 or 2 clients. If you're selling a product that costs $3, you know. And again, if that is the only barrier to you applying for that, I would contact the event organizer before I would just write it off. Cause you never know. Like I had a lady who was selling the greatest small pops, she's selling popsicles. She's like, popsicles cost $2. They'll take me. You know, I have started, I was like, no, let's make a deal. Just give out some samples and we'll cut your vendor fee in half. And she came out and she ended up making a good amount of money for the day. And it worked out well. But you definitely want to put some skin in the game though. Like if they're offering free vendor space, chances are that they're not expecting a lot of people, or it's not gonna be as organized as you probably need it to be. Yeah, I would be weary of a place that had like 0, unless they have big sponsors, like they did these things at Truist Stadium, where I think it was like women business owners who concept, who paid that to go out there. But Truist was like, hey, all the women come set up the booth, we have people come around.
How do you, well, I don't know if people still do this these days, but how do you feel about taking checks?
Me, I love checks, because I don't get fees taken out.
Personally,
Personally, I love checks.
One someone bounced me for $35.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're not.
We're talking about where as a
You're
business.
not-
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, you take a risk with checks. Yeah, I have maybe in my 12 years putting on race, I've had about 10 checks.
I'm about to say now, if I was cutting a check, you got a vendor, that
Yeah.
might be different, but.
Yeah, that's why.
I would, and I was kind of gonna go over, like I said, creating QR code.
Yeah, so-
But like I said, just like make it as easier for them to pay as possible without having costs, cause if it's in your checkbook, that means it's on your credit card.
Yeah,
And that means that if you can scan, or like I said, even get like a square, or I have a Stripe one, it's the same thing as square.
yeah.
You know, and I can take a payment, if I don't even got, it comes with like a little square thing, so I can use that, or I can just use my phone. So I can use that, but if you wanna like create a QR code for Zelle, Cash App, whatever the case may be, I definitely recommend it, and it's literally this simple, so. Y'all see that, you know, if you go to, if y'all can see on the screen, it's got like these little 3 dots, sometimes some people call it a hamburger, these 3 dots right here. If you click that,
What browser is it?
this is Google Chrome.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Google Chrome. So yeah, that's a good point, because I'm not sure necessarily how to do it on like Microsoft Edge, it may could be the same, but the only browser I use anyway is Google Chrome. So, but if you click on this hamburger where the lines are, and then you go down to save and share. Save and share, and you go over and you just go to create QR code.
It's like-
And it's simple, and it'll literally pop it up right there. It's literally that simple. It's literally that simple.
And like you said, on the various apps, like if you're on Venmo, you can create it
Yeah.
on your Venmo, if you're on,
If you don't Cash App, if you go to Cash App, there's a feature in there that it'll create it for you. So you can probably just email it to yourself, print it, And that is one thing, I will say, make it as easy as possible for people, you don't want them to have to look for nothing, you don't wanna say, you don't even want them to ask. I mean, cause if my thing is, if I can just come up to your table and you can say scan, you just say scan me, and I can clearly see it's gonna take them to your Instagram, whatever the case may be. Because even you'll say, you may not sell everybody, but you say, hey, if you're not gonna, if they're not gonna buy it, at least say, hey, can you at least follow me on Instagram?
Yeah.
That's free for them to do, and just even leveraging Instagram followers is a huge. Is a huge asset these days. It's a huge asset these days to just even have, like, people now have paid, like, people are making so much money off of just having Instagram pages with so many followers because they will do ads on them, like people will pay to like just have, if I got 10,000 followers on my page and I can just push it, push out somebody's product, people are paying for that.
Yeah.
People are making $1,000, $2,000 sometimes for people to post stuff for them, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more. So, but I would at least say, definitely have a QR code for your Instagram, definitely have QR codes for your payments. Like I said, whether you're taking a card, like if it's a QR code, I would definitely say Cash App or Zelle. If you have Cash App and Zelle set up. And then like if you have your Square, make sure that you have, either, like I said, either the little platform that you kind of, or mechanism, tap. And like I said, and now, like the one that I use, I'm pretty sure Square might be able to do it too, I can literally just tap, you can literally tap it on my phone, I can literally tap it on my phone. Yeah, so I mean.
I love that.
Yeah,
I do.
it's so easy, I mean, cause 9 times out of 10, everybody's gonna pay for it.
Yeah.
Not being funny, but sometimes depending on where you are, the internet might not be the best, so if they scan, it might not pop up. But usually 9 times out of 10, and it's kind of.
So I would say, going back to the tech question, that would just be a case, but I would not advertise anything checks.
Yeah.
But if you get, not to be stereotypical, the little old lady, and she's writing a check. You just got-
was a preacher.
No,
Mm.
you know what church?
What did church?
We're out of state. We're out of state.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm gonna say this, I think you would do great at the race event, you would probably give people them little dope shots.
I got
Before they
them.
run.
And I got the IV
They're gonna
hydration.
be cheating. They're gonna be cheating at the race. You're gonna be having people run marathons in 15 minutes.
Cause this is the September, you said October, right?
October 4th is this, our expo days.
Okay, so I will probably do that pretty soon for the 6 months
Oh,
headway.
our application's open, come on.
It's not going.
The spots, no, not full. We got a few, legacy folks who still need to apply, and then, and this year, it's actually great for you guys here. So this year, we're working with an organization called Black Women, some of you may have heard of Black Women. Their founder, her name is Nika Porche, she basically started her organization to uplift Black women-owned businesses. And so she is, helping us to curate our marketplace, so all of the vendors that we secured through her recommendation, as well as new to her vendors, we're gonna create this Black women's marketplace for the race this year, so we're very excited about that. So we would love to have all of your businesses, apply. And I say apply, because we'll look through everything, I'll make sure you got an actual functioning website, you're an actual business. And then we also wanna make sure that we don't take 20 of the same category, so you'll apply and then we will either accept or, let you know that you don't want this, or maybe it's just not a good fit for this year.
Another payment method, no one mentioned PayPal. I programmed my website with PayPal over 10 years ago. So people-
Yeah, I use PayPal still. Yeah, a lot of people don't, I think Cash App and Venmo are the most popular now, but PayPal.
Are the fees any better? Do you think? That's
Well, that's why I like Zelle, because Zelle ain't no fee.
There's no fee, yeah.
That's why I like Zelle.
Get fees with Venmo, but I don't.
Yeah, I use Zelle, I use
Is
Zelle.
there no part of PayPal?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
I
it
see.
is.
Sorry.
It's owned- It's owned by
So you think
PayPal, I
that-
think.
Venmo and Zelle will not charge you as a merchant fee?
Zelle won't. I can't speak for him.
I don't get charged
Sell.
in Venmo, so I don't know where I have it set up, but whatever, somebody pay me in Venmo, I get that.
That's why. Now, I was saying, Cash App with like, so, if you're at the church, like I said, you're at the church, you know, you can have a personal cash app, you have business cash app. If you have a business cash app, we pay a fee for the money that comes in. That's why here at the church, we try to encourage everyone to sell, because there's a lot of fees that are associated with using cash app, but I mean, at the end of the day, we gonna do whatever it does now. But it is better for the church as a vendor if people use it.
Okay, so, okay, as a business, I won't have a fee taken out if someone buys some products and sell.
You know,
No.
So that might be worth me doing.
Yeah.
I got it, they might set up the project to go through.
But coming from the tax perspective, whatever fee that's charged, no matter what platform, you write those fees off.
Oh, absolutely.
And I need your card.
Well, everything, and again, I don't get to keep them accounting, it's another session for another day. But all of my stuff pushes to my business account, so that covers it, right? So all my stuff pushes through my business account. Like whatever I take in from PayPal, is reconciled to my business.
Yeah.
account.
But I don't make money, I mean, if.
Cause, well, I, to be honest, I have, I did the other day.
Like 10 years, they're gonna start getting them.
Sale is bank to bank,
Yeah.
so it's one of those, it's not like a third party app.
So if someone puts their credit card in, they'll pay me.
No, it's no better now, it's a credit card, it's really going from.
their
Bank to
They go
bank.
back.
They gotta have money in their account.
Yeah. Now, I will say, some banks are struggling, so like, for instance, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, there's no kind of, there's no fee. However, I think with, Truist, they're kind of starting to try to put like, I don't know if it's like $1 or if it's like a % of the payment. They're trying to attach that to Zelle, but I do know for at least, I know at least Wells Fargo, Bank of America. I even have Navy Federal, cause I have my business account with Navy Federal. They don't have, a payment for Zelle, so 9 times out of 10, like I said, unless you're making the truest, you should, there's no.
Okay, I thought I could, avoid those fees using credit cards, so there's no way to get around that.
Yeah, they use the credit card, they do, you probably don't.
There's a fee for the credit card.
So we can keep the questions on, I'm just gonna lay out the gifts and let's start the raffle.
Oh.
Keep the questions, comments. Come up here.
If y'all wanna grab some chips or wraps back there, they back there, if y'all wanna grab some, I know it's kept y'all, so we. Yeah, I guess we can at least put a little something.
You want, you wanna, you wanna
Examples of things that
go?
you can have at a booth. For speakers, if you wanna take it as an example, or if you wanna take it as, oh, that's cool, I want that. Like the bag will be the last, and then also these two glasses are probably too. Alright, so I'm gonna call the number. I'll call the numbers, just so, we're definitely never everybody to get one, I make like 2 things. So I'll call the number for order, so. Last 2 numbers 73. Who's your winner?
I might, I don't know about that.
I didn't get one.
Alright, next number, 75. 75. 75? Alright, come pick whatever you want off the stage.
Well, don't pick for me. People trying to play shy, you ain't shy, nothing.
You want me to for you?
Nothing.
Whatever look good.
For the band.
I bet you at least want them sunglasses though.
Okay, see,
like-
backpack, these backpacks, this is my brand logo, running there, these are great for.
You can use it for traveling.
Your bag will stand out.
Yes, that's what we want. Put that on your back, there we go.
Alright, next is 74. 74. 74?
That's perfect, and it's hard.
Alright, let's go with 71. Alright, what would you like? Yeah, so, what is the glass for?